The Last Kingdom is a British historical drama that's based on Bernard Cornwell's The Saxon Stories, retelling the history of King Alfred the Great and his desire to unite separate kingdoms into what would eventually become England. The entertainment industry has painted a portrait of Vikings as dirty, unsophisticated barbarians, and while the Danes were incredibly fierce in battle, their culture was so much more than that. This is where The Last Kingdom shines, as one of the few shows that have beautifully represented the country of Denmark, showing the true history of the great nation. With that being said, no show is without controversy, specifically when it comes down to the characters of the show and how they differ from the characters originally used in the books, which is why we've decided to do a deep dive into The Last Kingdom's most controversial character moments. First up, Uhtred's too pretty. Even though actor Alexander Dreymon fits the bill in terms of mimicking Uhtred of Bebbanburg's irreverent, arrogant, and smug demeanor, fans were not entirely pleased with his appearance in the show. Alexander Dreymon is the shining star of The Last Kingdom, with the German-born actor playing the handsome and talented lead whose good looks are in keeping with Uhtred's womanizing. However, in the Saxon stories, Uhtred is described as being a massive, fair-headed Northumbrian who's more than a head taller than most men. Alexander Dreymon, on the other hand, is only 5'10", and his dark hair and eyelashes don't exactly match the description. So it makes sense why fans were not pleased, and many firmly believe that the part should have been taken by someone more like Rune Temte, the 6'3" Norwegian actor who played Ubba. Next up is Stipa. Fans of the books could never forget Stipa, a beast of a man who becomes loyal to both Uhtred and Alfred. Exceptionally cruel in battle, Stipa is a fierce warrior in every major battle scene throughout the book and was originally Oda, the younger sidekick. Despite being a fan favorite, Stipa's character was inexplicably merged with Leofrix for the TV series, which didn't exactly pan out in the long run, with fans of the TV show enjoying Leofrix's bromance with Uhtred, whom he jokingly nicknamed Arseling. Ragnar's death. Fans of the TV show were horrified when the slimy little Aethelwold snuck into Ragnar's tent and stabbed him in the chest while he was asleep, especially since he didn't have anything to defend himself with, to send him to Valhalla for eternity. Not only that, but Ragnar is also killed right alongside his mistress. But in the book, it doesn't go down like that, with Ragnar dying peacefully in his own home. Not nearly as exciting, which is why the show decided to spice things up a bit. Ragnar's death was easily the most hard-hitting in the entire series, with the great magnificent warrior being cut down in his bed by the slimy Ethelwold, who would get his revenge and not reaching Valhalla as a result. Also, Uhtred and Aethelflaed. Fans of the TV series might be surprised to find out that Uhtred and Aethelflaed, Alfred's beloved daughter, were actually lovers in the books. Not only that, but most of Wessex and Mercia openly knew about the romance, even though it was never spoken of. In the TV series, however, Aethelflaed and Uhtred's budding romance ends abruptly after just one kiss, when Uhtred refuses to become her lover due to fears of her being negatively affected by Skade's curse. What's another deviation, you might ask? Well, in the books, it is the Lady of Mercia herself who takes care of Uhtred's children after she is banished instead of Hild. Osferth's toughness. In the TV show, Osferth is a monk and the illegitimate son of King Alfred who doesn't seem to have a warrior's bone in his entire body. Although he does seem to rise to the occasion when it comes to sheer determination, he is still generally portrayed as a wimpy character. However, in Book 4, Osferth is quite effective in battle as well. In the TV show, it's Aethelflaed who kills Sigrid in revenge for him having killed Eric, but in the book, Siegfried is killed by Osferth. Not only that, but Osferth literally attacks Siegfried from above by jumping off the top of a high gate and stabbing him in the spine, thus paralyzing him in the process. Next up is Uhtred and Skade. In the TV series, Skade is a bloodthirsty seer who curses Uhtred and attempts to become his lover in order to manipulate him. She is easy to hate, so viewers were cringing hard when Uhtred and Skade almost became intimate in the river. Thankfully, it was all a ploy, with Uhtred luring Skade into the river solely so he could drown her and remove the curse. In the book, The Burning Land, however, Skade and Uhtred do become lovers after she convinces him that it was not her curse that killed Gisela, his beloved wife. Also, in the book, it is actually Bloodhair that kills Skade, angry that she abandoned him for other warriors. He then asks Uhtred to kill him, having been seriously injured earlier in the story. And then there was the merging of Harold Bloodhair and Sigurd. In their adaptation of the books, the characters of Sigurd and Harold Bloodhair were merged into one character for the series called Sigurd Bloodhair, the villain betrayed by Skade and killed during a duel. Interestingly, author Bernard Cornwell actually based Harold Bloodhair on a real historical figure whose name was never recorded but was known to be a Danish leader who led attacks against Wessex during the same time frame as Haston. Cornwell chose to use the name Bloodhair in reference to Harald Fairhair, a 9th and 10th century Norwegian king. Also, the surviving son. Not a lot goes right in Uhtred's life, so when he finally finds love and a family with Gisela, fans were joyous to see even an ounce of happiness in what can be an intensely bleak show. Unfortunately, Gisela dies in childbirth when Uhtred is off in battle, and he returns to a living son but a dead wife. This is an inexplicable departure from what happens in the book, The Burning Land, in which both the mother and son die in childbirth. Why did the TV series keep the son alive? Only time will tell. Next up is Ivar Iverson. In Season 2, we saw the Last Kingdom become far more relaxed about staying away from the events that occurred in Cornwell's novel, starting off with Ivar Iverson. The TV series completely cuts out the antagonistic Iverson, a Dane who has gained control of Irfwick at the start of the Lords of the North. In simplifying measure, the Netflix series replaces him with Viking brothers Sigfrid and Eric, who don't actually appear in the 4th book. Ivar isn't a very significant character, so this change doesn't really have any major consequences to the show in the long term. But it's a perfect example of how the events that play out in the series are very different from those that play out in the books. Uhtred and Hild. This one is likely going to bug the heck out of anyone who's seen the show, but in the books, Uhtred and Hild do not have a platonic relationship. After being raped and prostituted by the Danes when they took Kippenham, she is rescued by Uhtred and becomes his companion and lover after Isolde's death and accompanies him back to Northumbria. However, in the series, Hild is nothing but a dear friend to Uhtred and the only purely platonic female friend he has throughout the entire show. One of the sweetest and most poignant lines from Uhtred is when he looks at Hild and says, "You're too good a woman for God alone." Sadly, that line is missing from the books completely and wouldn't really make sense anyway. Also, Sven Kjartansson looks off. Readers first encounter Sven in the books when he's just a child, and he's described to be a tall youth with a plump, blank face and a drooping jar. As Sven ages, the eye that was taken from him is left uncovered. A red raw gape in his face remains. However, this is very different from the tight-jawed, scrawny Dane with the oversized eye patch who attacks Ragnar's Hall and menaces Thyra in the TV series. The live-action Sven may have a very different look, but his imposing aura remains the same. And finally, Uhtred and Isolde. In the books, Uhtred is powerless to resist Isolde's charms and the two become lovers right off the bat. To be honest, Uhtred aims to sleep with just about every woman he crosses, but in the TV series, the producers clearly wanted to create a slow burn effect with the viewers by making the Shadow Queen particularly protective in her virginity, believing it to be the source of her power. In the series, it's Isolde who eventually grows wary of her psychic powers and asks Uhtred to sleep with her so she can finally have peace. And with that, it wraps up the video. Thanks for watching.